The key thing with this race is the start. They send you straight up the Cauberg to stretch up the field before the first gravel sector. And if you mess it up, you're just chasing from the first minute.
Same, always. Hundreds of people are here very early, so we've got some work to do on the first climb on the Cauberg.
With 2,500 riders, this is Europe's biggest UCI gravel race, and it all starts in a massive chaos. The recipe is hard. The Cauberg, right from the gun, fast rocky descents, thousands of riders, and dust so thick that you can't see your front wheel. With the constant steep punchy climbs, you're basically racing intervals for 5 long hours. This race has broken me every time. But this year I felt stronger than ever and I came to win. I was doing well until a World Tour pro flew past me and he turned everything upside down.
My hamstring just cramped.
All of a sudden, I wasn't racing for the win, but just to finish. I didn't give up because the bigger goal was the World Championship and I was chasing that priority box ticket.
Oh no, I'm gone.
So I was about in the middle of my start box, so I had some work to do straight from the gun. This is the third time I'm racing in Valkenburg, and this time I definitely had the best cards of all three. I felt super strong and maybe even a bit overconfident. I really thought I would have it in me to dominate, as I just came back from 4 weeks on Mallorca and I was pushing all-time power records just before this race. And in these gravel races, the most important thing is to get to the front as quickly as possible so you can actually see what's going on. Now, the normal start procedure is to leave a few minutes of gap between the race categories, but for some reason that didn't happen. We just kept rolling through the start line and continued right after the 1934 age group, which is the biggest group of all. So that meant there were hundreds and hundreds of riders in front of us on that first kilometers up to the Cauberg, and it was basically a mission impossible to find the first guys of my category. So the first K is always the same. There's a short lead in and then we start on the Cauberg climb. The first big effort and split of this race. I knew exactly where to move up. There's a right turn, then a left, finding room on the inside, but it's sketchy. There's road furniture, there's parked cars, slower riders, and you have to be very, very careful. It's just zigzagging through gaps, constantly scanning for those pink numbers, and as you can see, there were already big differences in speed. So I knew I had to light a very, very big match just to stay in the game. Last year, at the end of the Cauberg, I could at least see the front of my category, but today, there's just no way because we mixed up with the previous age group right away, so I just went as hard as I could, hoping to end up at the front of the race. I spot this rider 1398 in the bright colors ahead of me moving up. I don't know who this is, but I decide I'm staying on his wheel. I'm already doing well over 500 watts on this climb, and this is as fast as I can go anyway. We're overtaking tons of riders, and I'm searching for the others of my category. We're just sending it. I don't know when, but I will have to pay back this effort sometime today, and that's gonna suck. But if you don't do it, you already lose the front of the race. It's the only option to stick to the plan. It's my only option if I want to get that priority box and win this race. Hard left turn here, we're almost at the top of the climb. We're almost about to fly onto the first gravel strip and we're still pushing hard. I'm overtaking so many riders from the 1934 age group already, but I think there's still guys from my category ahead of us, but I don't know. There's no way of knowing for sure. Right turn here where it gets narrow and the speed picks up because we're going slightly downhill. On my right, there's a guy with a pink number flying by, so for sure I have to chase this guy. There's now 1, 2, 3 guys of my category that I can see have a pink plate. For the rest, I've got no idea. But I know one thing, if the pink number goes, I've got to be there. The 1398, Jari Verstraeten, he's still here. He's doing really strong effort passing everyone. So I follow him. And here you can see why this format is so dangerous, because the speed differences are so massive. We're passing the other riders with such a big difference of speed. And sometimes other riders, they just try to go in the gaps to start following us. But there's no gap. We are chasing. And in this race I had support from the sideline. Arno came with me to Valkenburg to hand me bottles during the race. Boom! Perfect handoff. I started with only one small bottle and I got my first one just there from Arno after about 5k in, which saved me half a kilo up on the Cauberg.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'll go over my full nutrition strategy later, but first
a quick word about the bike. This is the new Yoeleo G21 Altera gravel frame.
Similar geometry of my current model, but they had a few small parts improved and they added internal storage options.
New wheels.
New C45 Next gravel wheels, which have a very nice and wide internal rim profile of 27 millimeters, and they are very light.
This is a really nice gravel set.
Unfortunately, the frame and wheels arrived a week after this race, so I was still on my previous bike, which I had been racing on the last 2 years. In my previous gravel race, I mainly discussed the tires in combination with the loose sand. I made a bad choice then, but for this race I knew exactly what I needed, as the conditions and terrain were similar to last year.
It worked great in the Worlds, so I expect it to work great in Valkenburg. Here we go.
So after that bottle handoff, we're on this narrow gravel strip. We've got an orange guy from my category, number 1410, and then the guy in red, 1191. This is Dutch rider Pim Hakman. He puts down consistently strong performance on these races. He was gone for a while, but here he is again. And we're just going left and right to go around the other category anywhere you can. And I'm constantly riding out of the ideal line, out of this double track in the middle on the bumpy grass. Cutting through the inside of the corner, overtaking 20, 30 riders. I'm just following the other guys of my age group, so I kinda have to.
Ja, 3 voor je. 3 voor jullie. Oké, thanks.
From another guy from the 1934 age group, I hear there's about 3 guys ahead of us. It's a bit of very valuable information in this part of the race, because I know we are still chasing. So here the guy with number 1049, he has a white or a grayish number, Belgian rider Thomas Sprengers, and he was actually riding in our category, but he had a wrong number plate for some reason, and he came to tell me, which is very nice. It's very sportful. Back then I didn't know who he was, so I figured, okay, whatever. But later he became the world champion, and yeah, he also did very good in this race, so he was definitely a guy to watch today. So you can see we still have a long line of riders ahead, so the overtaking isn't stopping yet. We're only 15 minutes in this race and it's been nothing but full gas. It had been very dry, so all this gravel is completely dusty, very fine dust blowing up, so it's hard to see where the fuck you're going. We're hitting potholes and loose rocks are flying up to your face and onto your legs the whole time as you're riding very close to the other riders at high speeds. So here's one of those very tricky bottlenecks.
Yo, waarom rem jij, joh?
All of us have to go through this super narrow grab, so we're almost standing still. And if another guy of my category would go through first and I would get stuck behind a few other riders, the gap can get really big, really fast. So these bottlenecks are really shit and you really have to pay attention to get through quick and to keep an eye on the other riders of your category. So just after this bottleneck, I've already overtaken so many riders, but I'm not seeing any of my category anymore. So they have to be somewhere in front. Going down this descent, this is pure risk management. I trust my own skills, but I don't trust the nervous riders around me on these descents. So you have to be very, very careful. And I could go faster, but it's difficult to go around the riders and not get onto the bad lines. Kevin Adudi in yellow here, he comes past. He is fast, but he also takes a lot of risk. I was with him in the second place in Turnhout, the previous race, just before I crashed. And in last year's Marley Grav, I sat on his wheel for an hour and a half and then I completely blew up. But today I am stronger. Today I want to be more assertive and actually race instead of just hanging on and surviving. I came in feeling very, very strong after those solid weeks of training on Mallorca, and I was very tired after doing the Mallorca 312, which was just 2 weeks before this race, but all the riding there boosted my fitness a lot. And especially after crashing out last race, I was really aiming to finish in a good position. Everything, again, everything for the World Championship. And then we hit this bottleneck climb. Too many riders on a narrow trail, and everything just stops. We're unclipping, standing still. So it takes a while to kind of get going again, and as I get some more room, it's straight back to full gas. Even guys are trying to run up the hill, and I still don't know who's ahead in my category, so I just burn matches to stay connected. The further you make it into the category ahead of you, the faster those riders will be and the bigger the chance you will stay away and the other riders can't get back to you. So that's kind of what all the fast riders of my category are trying to do. Just go as hard as you can in the beginning to get out there as quickly as possible. We're just 30 minutes into this race, 136k to go, another narrow strip, and I just keep overtaking as fast as I can. It's like a time trial with obstacles. Full gas till the tank is empty, and then you drag it out to the finish line. I'm not seeing many riders of my category, so I don't really know what's up. I think there's a few ahead of me, but I'm not sure. But I don't care. If I'm the first guy, I'm going to push as hard as I can to create a gap. And if I'm not the first, then I'm gonna push as hard as I can to reach the front. So I've overtaken 2 or 3 other groups, and the further we get, as you can see, the bigger the gaps become. So now I have a massive gap until I reach the next group. almost 55 minutes into this race. Another big gap ahead. I'm rotating with Kevin and I feel strong. I'm doing the work. I'm riding assertive. I'm trying to get as much gap to the riders behind us as possible. And through the feed zone, the organization is handing out neutral bottles. This is amazing, guys. They don't do that in every race, but in the Marley Grav they do. So you can grab bottles of water or even with nutrition in there. And it just helps because if you're alone or if you have one guy along the sidelines, you need these extra bottles. So we just closed the gap to a very big group of 1934 riders and we're passing them. We get to the front and then we take off straight away, hunting for the next group. So here we fuse with another little group of 1935 riders and there's even an elite rider here in the mix. So if we're overtaking elite guys, this means we're getting close to the very front. And I had another quick conversation with these guys and he thinks there was nobody else of our category ahead of us. So it's Kevin, orange jersey, Pim, who's been sitting at the front all day, and me. The four of us are leading the race and we almost took the entire 500 plus riders of the 1934 age category. Right now, we can really start our battle. We're approaching start finish for the first time. We've got a technical section here through the woods and then a descent with some loose rocks and bumps. I'm going down that for the first time, so I'm a bit more careful. Last kilometer was a narrow gravel bike lane with a sharp right onto a bigger road for start finish. And that means we've had completed the first out of 3 laps. And now we've got 2 55k loops with an extension to the south that's gonna add even more climbs. And as I'm showing this on my Strava page, a quick heads up because I just became an official Strava ambassador, and that means you can get 20% off your Strava membership with code Jasper20 or through the link in the top comment. I just want to get this out there because I know most of us are using Strava to log our rides anyway. And then Pim Hakman, he's in trouble. He's got a flat tire in the rear, so he needs to stop and fix that.
No! God, please, no! No!
And actually the same thing happened to him last year when we were with the 3 of us ahead and he also had a flat tire, but he came back super strong, so maybe we're gonna see him back today. And then we go to a very special part of this race because we're gonna ride through a cave. Here we go, glasses off because it was actually really dark. The camera, the Insta360 Ace Pro, makes it look a lot lighter than it was. It picks up a bit of that small lights there on the ceiling, but we couldn't see much of where we were going. And this was actually a super cool experience. Huh. Oh. Out of the cave, glasses back on, and we go right up the Cauberg for the second time. Since we're doing 3 loops, we're climbing the Cauberg 3 times. And the last time was actually an off-road climb, which was going to be even harder. Right now we're nowhere near as fast as the first time because the split had already been made. But this climb peaks at around 12%, so it's still pretty steep, and these climbs obviously suit lighter riders better. And if you are a frequent viewer, you know I'm a pretty heavy guy. I'm around 81, 82 kilos, so for me it's still full gas every single climb. And till now I was still feeling very good. I could use the downhills to recover a little bit, and we're shaking some of the other riders from the other category off of this group. And this was the moment where it all took a big turn for me. Until this point, I felt confident, I felt in control. Being in the breakaway again wasn't by accident. Finally, that priority box ticket was getting in reach, but this is where it all changed. I get passed by a World Tour pro. It took me a while to realize this is Florian Vermeersch from UAE. He actually became the world champion later that year. He had a flat and now he comes screaming past with a few riders in his draft. They were getting a free ride back to the front of the race, including some guys from our category that we dropped earlier. I see Jari Verstraeten again, who I was following right after the start at the Cauberg. So as they fly by, that's a train that you have to jump onto, which didn't seem a problem at first. I figured we hang on for a free ride.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Another bottle from Arno, perfect handoff, gel strapped to it for some extra carbs. At this point, everything still feels under control. But that feeling changed quick. Florian's pace is at a different level, guys. Even in his draft, I feel like I'm climbing the Cauberg again, but it just doesn't stop. And this is what happens when a really big engine hits the group. The pace doesn't rise a little. He was just ripping our legs off. My heart rate is 182. This is not good. I'm struggling to stay on Kevin's wheel out of the turn. This is really gonna hurt. So we're going down this descent. There's some big gaps. I just lost connection, but now I have a clear path. I can go way faster than the first lap, so I try to get back on, but Florian is gone, and I cracked. This wasn't just this surge. It's the surge after you've already been going full gas from the gun. And not just me, Kevin has to let it go too, but two other guys of our category stay on. And they were gone. We're 60 kilometers in, we still have 90k to go, and I went very deep in the red, trying to hang on that train. So I need some recovery. But right from the rough descent, we go straight into another climb. It's very hard to recover. Here's another short steep climb. My legs are hurting and I can't hold the wheels towards the top. Kevin is now ahead of me, so I'm dropping out of the podium position. And I can feel my mood sink. Maybe it wasn't going to be an easy win after all.
Kom op. Second loop. Now going to the south.
We're at the split of the course, this time taking a left with some extra climbing. And at this point, I'm still thinking, if we keep pushing hard, maybe we can reconnect with Kevin and those two other guys that went away with Florian, as they may drop out of his wheel as well. I still had that priority box as main goal, and that meant I had to win. But that might not be that realistic right now. So at least I was trying to still keep on going, finish strong, and get qualified. This was some very typical rough, chunky gravel. USA style gravel. The only gravel in the world, in some people's opinion. And I was pushing hard to get back to that group in front of me. All alone, into the wind. It was very tough, but these are the strips, these are the sectors that you really need those wide tires. So riding narrow tires on this course today would have been the biggest mistake in the history of cycling. So I'm glad I didn't do that. Two hours and 16 minutes. I made it to the group and we have a little dull moment on the road. So I immediately grab a gel and finally I tried to get some recovery. Nutrition-wise, I've partnered with 4Endurance. I have a very good experience with them for 2 years already. They have all kinds of products for training, races, from vitamins to performance supplements. And during these races, I take the Endurance 45 and 90 mix in my bidon and the 45 gels, which makes it super easy to get to 90 grams of carbs per hour or more. In this case, I was aiming for 120 grams per hour since the intensity is so freaking high. And getting a new bottle from Arno at 2 points every lap, my nutrition was really on point. Make sure you use the link in the top comment or the description to get an additional 10% off 4Endurance products. Meanwhile, I'm closing in with another group. It's a bit of a mix, some 1934 riders and then some elites. And I'm just pushing through the gap to close up with Kevin.
Gaat moet dicht, jongen.
So 5 minutes later, I managed to close the gap again. So I'm back in the race for the podium. I think there's only 2 guys, maybe 3 guys ahead of me. But at that point, the strangest thing happened. It was like my legs just flicked a switch.
Fuck! Ah! 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 Fucking kramp! Ah! Oh! Good! Ah! Oh! Fuck! 2.5 hours in. Oh, my hamstring just cramped fucking hard. And now I lost the group. Damn! I was in second place. Let's see if I can recover. Get back.
It was so weird because until now I was feeling super strong. And usually I feel it coming for a while. The cramps, you can feel your legs start twitching. But at this time, this moment, it was just instant. It was on a slight uphill and my hamstring completely locked up. And I almost had to get off the bike not to crash. And I couldn't push power anymore. So I dropped out of the group straight away. And at this point, I just felt like, what the hell am I doing here? Why is this happening to me every time? I'm getting cramps at some point in every race. I know there will be guys saying it's hydration, but I had Arno handing me bottles. I drank almost a liter per hour. I'm sure it's the intensity and the constant big efforts and not just fluid or electrolytes. That earlier surge in the race by Vermeersch probably had a big role. After already pushing hard from the gun, the pace went up again and the cost went up. And later, your legs just come in to collect debt. And physically it was bad, but mentally this was worse. Because I was still in second position when this happened. And suddenly, I might not even be able to finish this race. I fell back into another group and I tried to keep it as steady as I could. But with every push, I feel those twitches immediately, so I have to be very careful not to lock my muscles up again. Last couple hundred meters before start finish, super narrow trail, was a bit loose over hardpack, so it is quite slippery regardless of your tire choice. And this is something to keep in mind for the finish on the next lap. However, now I'm not even trying to think about the finish at all. I was so frustrated, even though I was still riding for like top 5, I was worried not to be able to finish because the Cauberg is coming up again, and this time it's off-road. It's even harder than the road climb. It's the same elevation, but it's on chunky rocks, slippery slopes, bumpy gravel, which makes it the hardest climb of this race. So you need to push hard, but I couldn't because I would cramp up.
One more lap. So fucked. Ja, hier op de gravel. Nog kutter.
So here we go, one more time up the Cauberg, but this time off-road. And I really could not push that hard because my muscles would just cramp up again, so I had to be very careful. So I tried to start in front of the group, so I have some wiggle room to ease off without getting dropped immediately. Especially right now, I needed that extra margin. Luckily, the rest was also getting tired, so the pace wasn't as crazy as 2 hours ago. Well, most guys, because right there on my left, Martin Kelderman is just flying past me. He is from my category, and he seemed to be still pretty strong. There was another guy in front of me, so I'm going backwards in the ranking right now. 100k on the clock, 50k to go. I don't have a lot of power, I don't have a lot of juice in the legs. I'm trying to drink a bit extra to get some more carbs and fluid in. Anything extra might help at this stage. And all I want is a bit of a flat stretch to get some recovery, but there just isn't much flat in this race. And our pace is down quite a bit before we got pulled apart by Vermeersch. So now I'm getting worried about groups from behind fusing with us and that I would be dropping down even more. Currently I'm still pretty close to a podium, which would already be my best result on a qualifier, so I'm going to try and save what I have. So I'm rotating with this group, but the coordination isn't great. I'm still trying to recover a bit from the cramps and get my legs back. I've been in this stage before, and usually after the ridiculous 2.5 hours, my legs blow up, and then I get them back at some stage. It's just a question of where I'm gonna get it back in time to save my podium finish.
Rechtdoor.
and you can see gaps are opening up in this group. Guys don't pull through, which is very annoying. If you don't pull through, just shout, so the guys that's coming off the front at least can go in and keep it compact. Otherwise there's gaps in the group and it makes it very annoying and actually harder for the guys that are pulling. But at this stage, you know, everybody is pretty whacked, so I don't blame anyone. It's just a matter of a bit of communication when you're so tired. And then all of a sudden I see that group that I dropped from when I got cramps right in front of me. And it had last year's winner Kevin Adudi from my age group riding with them. And in the distance, my former teammate Gelderman, who flew past me on the Cauberg. He's up the road, and it's about an hour since I had the cramps, and I've somehow recovered and I feel good again. So I don't hang on, but I just ask them and I go after Martin, and I notice that Kevin isn't responding at all. It's the same pattern that I've had in other races. Full gas from the start, I blow up, I cramp, somehow I reset, and then I can finish strong. So I pull through and I commit to the chase. If I shed Kevin and I can reconnect to Martin, I'm suddenly back in the fight for the podium with only 2 riders ahead of us. So we're on a narrow climb again where we stood still in the first lap, but now it's clear and I'm pushing as hard as I can without cramping again. Meanwhile, trying to stay close to Martin and also stay ahead of the guys that I just dropped. And I'm using the descent to make up a bit of extra time. I won't be able to close this gap completely, but I will make up a few seconds every descent. And let's see how far I can get. Oh, fine. Come on, this guy. Into the wind. He's riding with 3. So after 15 minutes of yo-yoing, I needed this downhill to close the gap. Every time on the climb he was riding away from me, and on the downhills I got closer. But now I'm back on Martin's wheel. And I know how strong he is because we've done multiple races together. And now we're about 30k from the finish, but we weren't 100% sure how many riders were in front of us. Both of us thought that we were still in the battle for the podium. Another bottle with nutrition from Arno. Unfortunately, my legs were getting worse again. I thought it was all good, but the cramps were coming back. So I'm trying to stretch out my legs a bit when I can in between those climbs and descents. The thing is, with this kind of intensity, it just completely destroys your legs. So once you're over the edge too far, it's very hard to completely recover from it. And as soon as you increase the pace a little, it comes right back. Especially on this part of the loop with all the extra climbs. So at this stage, I'm trying to do as little as possible and stay with these few guys towards the finish. I was pretty sure I could not survive an uphill attack, so I was just hoping that the other riders were as tired as I was. So we are on the last climb, and it was a bit of a silence before the storm. I managed to go to the front and set a, you know, sort of a false pace. So I go to the front, I set a pace that I think is okay for me, and I hope that the other guys just stay in my wheel. So at least I decide the pace. If they would be at the front pushing harder than I could, then I would have been dropping out here. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. After this, the pace went right up and some guys were attacking again. These were in the other category, but we just had to stay with them because it was going to speed up our race and get us to the finish line quicker. So we're almost 5 hours into this race, 150k on the clock. We've got 5k to go, and we're in a small group, a couple of elite riders, some 1934 riders, and then me and Martin. We have that narrow gravel trail towards the finish line, and then the last 150 meter sprint on the tarmac. I've been thinking about this moment for the last hour. Normally, you don't want to be in the first wheel, but these turns are very tight and the final straight is short, so being in front might actually not be that bad. I'm trying to conserve some energy so I don't cramp up on that final push, and I'm hoping it's not gonna be a long attack because I probably do not have the legs to follow. And no matter what our final position is, this sprint matters. It's a practice run with completely empty legs after a super hard race. And right now, Martin was in front and he was doing a good pace, which kept us up from being caught up from behind. And then he goes off the front very strategically, exactly at the moment where I did not want to be in the front. So I end up leading into the last kilometer. So I kind of let the pace come down a bit as I didn't want to push hard leaning into the sprint. And then another elite rider overtakes, so that actually played out well because he was holding a nice steady pace. Again, I wasn't sure what my exact position was. Are we sprinting for second or are we sprinting for third? Is there two riders ahead or not? But no matter what, I want to win this sprint as a practice run, and just because I want to finish as good as I can. We've got 250 meters to go and a few tight turns. There's other riders of other categories here as well. It's getting close, so I go into my drops. I'm getting ready for that final punch, so I'm leaving a little bit of a gap with this rider in front of me, the slingshot out of the last turn, and then it's full gas on the pedals. I still have 1500 watts to push, 100 meters to go, and that's it, guys. 155k of very dusty gravel. So, the end result. We thought we had 2 and 3, but it was a wait for the official results.
This was a very, very dusty edition of the Valkenburg gravel race. Very tough edition as well. It's 40k more than last year. I don't know why. This was Tough
It
day.
turned out 2 guys stayed ahead, Jari and Thomas. So the sprint got me on the podium. I 3rd place today. Honestly, I was disappointed a bit. Being stronger than ever, I didn't expect to cramp up again, but it's my first UCI Gravel podium and my best result so far. 1 step up towards the World Championship. Next race is the 3 rides gravel in Aken, where I made a move to get me in the breakaway. And I get another shot at the win. So follow my journey in the next video. See ya!